Wilson. Thank you very much. Let me say good night to everyone. And without further delay, let me bring in Mrs. Hemmings, who will lead us off with meditation.
Good evening, all parents, staff, students of the Marymount High School and also the St. Mary Technical High School. And we want to say welcome to this, our student vaccination sensitization session. I was asked to do the reflection this evening. And when I look at why we are gathered here, the word new came to mind. You see, we have been in the last 2.5 years, been in a pandemic, and the term new norm has been, being skirted all around the place because we are in a new world. And we have been greatly affected by all the changes that the coronavirus has brought to our world. And so we have to adjust to this new world. And so for my theme, I want to call it new. The story comes to mind of a woman by the name of Naomi. And this is a true story. All the stories I tell is true stories. And she had lost her husband. And then 10 years later, she lost both her sons. And this brought about feelings of helplessness, abandonment. And there came a time in her life that she said, you know what, I need a change. I need something new. And if you read the Bible, you will find the story in the book of Ruth. It's a common known story. I'll encourage you when you have the time, please read the book of Ruth. It's a very interesting story. And oftentimes when we read this story, we see Ruth as the hero of the story. She is the main focus of the story. But this evening, briefly, I want us to look on Naomi, the older woman in the story. And there are 3 lessons I get from Naomi, even as we navigate this new norm. I'm wondering if you're hearing me. Yes, there are 3 lessons that I want you to get from Naomi. And I'm using the acronym NEW. N, need to embrace loss. You see, Naomi embraced her loss. She went through the grieving process. As I said earlier, she lost her husband, and then 10 years later, she lost both her sons. So she was confronted with death and dying. And so she had great loss. But then she had to reach a point in her grieving process where she said, I have accepted and I'm embracing the loss. What am I saying to us this evening, everybody? We need to embrace also our loss, and we need to move on with our lives. We have experienced loss through the pandemic, our own loss of loved ones, friends, family members. We have lost so much in our educational system. Some are online, some are not online. Some have access, some don't have any access. So we have all lost so much. Parents, things are not the way they used to be. And so we have to learn how to embrace loss and adopt to the new norm. The second point I want to make is evaluation of our present situation. That's the E in the new. Evaluation of our present situation. When I look at the story of Naomi, with all the loss that she had experienced, and she made a decision that, guess what? I am going back home. I'm going back to my homeland. She had to come to a realization that, guess what? Things have changed. My husband is gone. My sons are gone. I need to move from where I am at now. And she literally moved from where she was. she went back home. What about us parents? What about us students? What about us staff members? If we are experiencing a change in our life, how are we going to deal with it? And just like Naomi, we have to come to the point where we have to move on from our present situation because we have evaluated it and we have come to realization that something has to be done. This evening, as we speak to the issue of vaccination, vaccination then becomes an option to deal with our present reality. And finally, W, work till change comes. Still in the book of Ruth, Ruth chapter 4, verse 5 says, he shall be to you a restorer of life and a nourisher of your old age. Your daughter-in-law who loves you, who is more to you than 7 sons, has given birth to him. So guess what? Joy and blessing came to Naomi in her old age. Her daughter-in-law remarried, and blessings came because a son was born to the family. And even the commendation that was given that Naomi, daughter-in-law, was more than 7 sons. Remember, she had 1 husband and 2 sons, The daughter-in-law brought her so much blessing that it was far above what she had ever experienced. Let me say something to us as we reflect this evening. Parents, staff, medical personnel, students, all those who are gathered on this platform. We have to come to a place in our reality where we embrace our loss. We have to also come to a place in this new world where we evaluate properly our situation. And then we need to work so that the change will come. Parents, we have to fight for our children's future. We have to fight. We have to fight. We have to fight. The way forward has to be addressed in a practical way. We want to see our children play again. We want to see our children smile again. We want to see our children coming off the gadgets. They are not socializing. Their literary and numerical skills have fallen short. We want to see them growing into the young men and women of the next generation. So as we come this evening, I want us to have an open mind as we go into our discourse, as we speak to the issue of vaccination, and especially vaccination for the return of face-to-face operations. Let us put aside the negative thinking. Let us embrace the change that has come, and let us continue to trust a God, as the song said, who remains faithful. Let us pray. Most righteous Heavenly Father, we thank you for an opportunity like this that you have granted to us, to all stakeholders here, staff members, parents, students, Ministry of Health personnel that are here. And Lord, as we go into our discourse at this time, we pray, God, through the power of your Holy Spirit, that you will guide our discussions, that any question and queries that may be asked will be clarified. And at the end of our time, we will be able to say, it was good for us to have been here. Lord, thank you for your faithfulness. We thank you, Lord, that you say in your word that you will never leave us nor forsake us. And so we continue to trust you in all things, giving you thanks to Jesus Christ our Lord. And we all say, Amen. I now hand over to my principal, Mr. Orville Richards.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Hemmings, Pastor Hemmings. We do appreciate your words of encouragement. I was trained and socialized in such a way that it always states ladies before gentlemen. And this evening I'm happy to really partner with our neighboring sister school. So let me, without further delay, provide my colleague principal, Mrs. Lawrence, the opportunity to address us and bring greetings. Thank you very much. Go ahead, Mrs. Lawrence.
Thank you, Mr. Richards. Good evening, everyone. And let me use this opportunity to greet all our parents, all our guardians, our students. I know some of you are listening in, and that is good. That's what we want. And my colleagues. And thanks St. Mary Technical High School for the opportunity to partner in this initiative. It speaks volume. We want our students to live as though we are living. And we want this afternoon to be an informative one in which we will listen to what is happening around us and make the right choice, the right decision. There is always decisions to make. And therefore, we want you to use this opportunity that we are giving you to learn a bit more of what is happening and make the right choice. In March 2020, we had a visitor to Jamaica, and we felt that the visitor was going to stay just for a little while. But we have realized that the visitor is not leaving now. The visitor has come to stay. And therefore, it means we must do what is appropriate, what is right, and what can be effective to continue living with the visitor until the visitor decides to leave our shores. And therefore, we want to provide for you, parents and students. We want you to listen to what is being said today. We want you to grasp something from it so that at the end of the day, when the time comes tomorrow or on the 22nd, we want you to be counted among those who see the vaccine as a means of getting back to normal. We have been hit by various challenges. And one of the biggest one is what we are facing now, the COVID-19 virus. And we want you to understand what is happening. We want our students to come back. We at Marymount, we are not able to find approximately 200 students. And I know it's the same straight across the island. And if this is the way we are going to make sure that they come back to school and we can find those who are not being reached online for various means, then we want to use this opportunity to do so. So welcome, and once again, listen with an open mind and make the right decision. Thank you so much, Mr. Richards and team.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Lawrence. Let me use this opportunity to greet everyone here. I know Mrs. Lawrence, I know your VPs are here. My VPs are also here. Members of your senior team, they are here. Members of my senior team, St. Mary Technical High School senior managers are here. I know many parents are here. Many students are here, and we want to use this opportunity to really provide you with the necessary information as much as possible so you can make a conscious decision. We refer to this as the new normal, but it is no longer new. It has been happening now for over a year and a half. And as Mrs. Lawrence would have stated, the reality is there are so many persons, so many students who have been so disadvantaged with the onset of this pandemic. It is a reality that many students, technology will always have a place in our society. But there are students, there are persons who are so disconnected right now with the teaching and learning process. And I mean, I have the conversation every day with my teachers and my fellow administrators, and it is a reality where there are many students who are just not fortunate enough, one way or another, to be online. The government has indicated it is not Marymount High School, it is not St. Mary Technical High School. The government of Jamaica, they have mandated that it will take 65% of the student population to be vaccinated before they can embark on any wide scale reopening of school, right? So I'm beseeching parents to really come with a level of openness to embrace the information and make a conscious decision in the best interest of your family, of yourself and your child. I am proud to say that I am fully vaccinated. So let me declare that, because I have to be out there in the physical space almost every day, even when school is closed, because we have a physical plant to run and to maintain, and there are workers there. So I want to say to everyone, it is a personal choice. I am not going to tell you that you this is what you must do, but we're saying look at the situation, look at what is in your best interest. I say that there are so many unknowns, but keep an open mind and make the best decision possible. I do hope that at the end of today's presentation, and we want to thank the Ministry of Health and Wellness officials. I know Mrs. Monique Richards Scott is here to present to us. We want to thank her for joining us. It was merely yesterday that I would have contacted some very good colleagues of mine, and we are colleagues because we are really in it for the same reason, for the betterment of everyone. So we want to thank you very much for being here and for responding to us and really being a part of this initiative as we try to provide the parents with the necessary information that they need so that they can make a decision. Greetings everyone, and I do hope we have a very productive rest of this evening. Mrs. Richard Scott, welcome, and you are a co-host. You can feel free to unmute and go ahead into your presentation.
Good evening, everyone. It is indeed a pleasure to be here. Can somebody just let me know if they're hearing me?
Yes, I am.
Okay, perfect. It is indeed a pleasure to be here. My presentation, I believe it's going to be very short. And I am hoping that this short presentation will probably grab some of the myth that you have, twirling around in the head about the COVID-19 and the vaccine. I liked the acronym. I don't remember the name of the first lady, but I like the acronym NEW. And then the principal for Miramount, she said challenges. So I put them both together and say new challenges. So the new is the need to embrace new norms to evaluate our situation so that we can work till change come. And I really love that because that is what we are about. That is what the entire world is about. When COVID-19 started, I started doing a little presentation, well, not presentation, research, because I know that the most important thing right now is for people to know what exactly is going to happen going forward, because I know that vaccine would have been, the tool to kind of stem the pandemic and so on. And then when I was going through, we were talking to colleagues and so on, and we looked at some of the other vaccinations that are now a part of our vaccination list, and the polio was one of them that really touched me because so many persons died, and if it wasn't for that vaccine, then well, probably the world would have been extinct by now. But looking at that and looking at some of the other vaccines, the MMR, how they have developed and how they have changed over the years, because once upon a time we used to have one vaccine for measles, one for mumps, and one for rubella, and now we have one vaccine that gives for all three. So things have changed over time, and I would know say generation is so smart. And the more we have children, as we can see, the smarter the generation comes, which means that things that used to take a long time to do, it's not going to take that long anymore. It's going to take a shorter time because, we're always out there researching and so on. So let me just get to the presentation. And of course, we'll just keep those questions until after the presentation so we can go through. All right. So my presentation for this evening, can we see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we
Thank you
can.
very much. Thank you. All right. So it says, let's get the facts. So we're going to look at some of the myths and some of the facts of the COVID-19 vaccine. I'm wondering, is it showing big or small? Let me put it on a slideshow. Oh. All right. All right. All right. So one of the myths is that the COVID-19 vaccine is not safe because it was rapidly developed, right? So the fact is this: the vaccine is proven safe and effective. They have gone through the same rigorous FDA process as every other vaccine, meeting all safety standards, and no steps were skipped. So what happened is that global collaboration and increased government funding, unlike ever before, have allowed the COVID-19 vaccine to develop more quickly than previously experienced, right? So scientists have been working on coronavirus vaccine since the SARS and MERS epidemic. And as I said before, research is very crucial. So if many persons would have gone and looked, we have approximately over 200 different types of coronaviruses. And at one point in time in our lifetime, persons were actually wearing masks. So it's not the first that this is actually happening. So what happened is that the scientists have been working on coronaviruses since the SARS and the MERS epidemic, allowing for a head start in the vaccine development process. So, I don't know, we just come, right? Sorry about that. All right. So the technology to use mRNA for vaccines have been in development for over a decade. So the COVID-19 vaccine will alter my DNA. So from you hear about the mRNA, you know, most people are going to think, say, yes, NA, from the year NA, it has to do with the DNA. But really and truly, the vaccine contains mRNA. And what mRNA is, instruction cells to make the spike protein found on the new coronavirus. All right. So what happened is that they realized that coronavirus, yes, but this one is different. And the difference with this one is that it has spike protein. So what the mRNA, which is the vaccine that you get, does is that it goes into the body and instruct the body to make that spike looking thing on the coronavirus. So that protein thing, it instructs the body to make it. So the body makes it now, but your body they are going and I say, but this not supposed to be here. So what the body starts to do now is to develop antibodies or fighter cells to get rid of this spike protein, right? So this is the spike protein that is found on the coronavirus. So what happens is that the mRNA never enters the nucleus of the cell, which is where the DNA or the genetic material is kept. So the body get rid of the mRNA soon after it's finished with the instruction. So once the body get the instruction to say, hey, make this, after it do that, the body gets rid of it. Another myth is that the COVID-19 vaccine includes a tracking device. So we all know, say, if anybody wants to track us, they have our phones, because our phones are always on the internet. It has our most personal things about us. So really and truly, we don't need to put a chip in your body, right? Because the phone is there. So the fact is this: there is no vaccine microchip. And I've done some research as well, just the needle and if a chip can actually hold in there and how the chip would then work and all of these things. And it's really not possible. So the vaccine will not track people or gather personal information. Vaccines are solely used to protect people from diseases. Microchips have never been used in vaccines and are not part of COVID-19 vaccines. It is not tied to the development, testing, or distribution of the COVID-19 vaccine. So we do tracking, yes, and we do tracking for many different reasons. Some of them are we do cold chain tracking. So vaccines have to be stored in a fridge, as we know, some at different temperature. So we have to ensure. So, for instance, the Pfizer, one of our interests was that the Pfizer has to be stored at -2 degrees Celsius and -2 degrees Celsius. And our fridge here, or our temperature here, is normally between 6 to 8. So we are saying Pfizer may not, stay here because of the tropical climate that we have. Things may actually happen to it. But I'm just saying that cold chain monitoring is one thing. We know that Pfizer has to be stored at a particular temperature. So we have to ensure that, it is stored. When disaster coming as well, we had that storm the other day, we had to ensure that all the vaccines were at one site so that, we have that stable cold chain monitoring of the vaccines. The manufacturer. So one of the first vaccines that we have is the AstraZeneca vaccine. And the AstraZeneca vaccine was developed in Oxford in England. But persons in India had the right to make the vaccine as well. So they would have been one of the manufacturer. So in India now, you have persons manufacturing AstraZeneca, and you would have that being done in England as well. So you would have different batch number for these AstraZeneca vaccine, as well as you would have different lot number for these AstraZeneca vaccine. And for most persons who would have come to our vaccine sites, they would have recognized that they get a number. Not to say that the number is tied to it, but you have to get a number. So who receives the vaccine? So number 62 today was Arville Taylor. So he received the vaccine, right? So that is the code, that is the monitoring or the tracking of the vaccine. Another myth is that the COVID-19 vaccines were developed using fetal tissue. So this is the fact. COVID-19, the COVID-19 vaccine contains mRNA with, current mRNA COVID-19 vaccines were not created with and do not require the use of fetal cell cultures in the production process. No vaccine, including COVID-19 vaccines, have been developed, tested, or contain tissue of aborted human fetuses. Another myth. The COVID-19 vaccine causes infertility in women. The fact is this: the vaccine does not train the body to attack Syntin-1, which is a protein in the placenta, which could lead to infertility in women. There is no amino acid sequence shared between the spike protein and the placental protein. In fact, some participants in the clinical studies got pregnant during the process. And of course, the clinical studies included both men and women who would have taken the vaccine. So that means the men were okay as well. So no vaccine suspected of impacting a person's ability to conceive have ever been or will be approved. Another myth is I have already been diagnosed with COVID-19, so I do not need to get the vaccine. The fact is this: if you have already had COVID-19, you will still need to take the vaccine. We are unsure how long natural immunity lasts, and natural immunity may not last very long. Since COVID-19 can have severe health risk and the possibility of reinfection, the recommendation is to take the vaccine. And for those persons who can remember what Chick V's situation was like, and that was a saga, right? And now persons have to get used to walking like I'm an old person per se, because Chick V get to them. And remember that Panadol there again was our main our main tool out, because we really didn't know how this chikungunya would have affected the body. And we know now that a lot of persons are living with the long-term effects of chikungunya. All right. Another myth is that you can get COVID-19 from the vaccine. The fact is this: you cannot get COVID-19 from the vaccine because it does not contain the live virus. So we know that in immunization, we would give the child a weakened form of the virus. So a weakened form of the virus so that the child's body can develop those antibodies that are needed. But no, we do not give the live for our weakened strain of the COVID-19. What we did, as we had mentioned earlier, was to give the body instruction on how to make that spike protein that is found on the coronavirus. So the viral, another myth: once I receive the COVID-19 vaccine, I will test positive for COVID-19. Viral tests look for the presence of the virus that causes COVID-19. Since there is no live virus in the vaccines, the vaccine cannot affect your test result. It is possible to get infected with the virus before the vaccine has had time to fully protect your body, right? Another myth: the COVID-19 vaccine the COVID-19 vaccine has severe side effects such as allergic reactions. So the fact is this: although extremely rare, people can have severe allergic reactions to ingredients used in a vaccine. So it's ingredients used in a vaccine. So we recommend that people with a history of anaphylaxis to the ingredients of the vaccine should not be vaccinated. So it's not something specifically in the COVID-19 vaccine. It is just in vaccine in general. So you know, like how you're then gonna make one bag juice per se. You need water, you need the flavoring, and you need sugar. And if you're gonna put little ginger, you're gonna put little lime, right? And that is basically a drink. That is basically the same thing. All vaccines make up the same way. It's just that one would have, as we said, the mRNA giving the body instruction on how to make that spike protein that is found on the coronavirus. Another myth is that natural immunity is better. So the fact is this: effective COVID-19 vaccines is one of the crucial ways of protecting people from disease and ensuring societies can remain open. Vaccines build immunity without the damaging effects that COVID-19 can have. Allowing the disease to spread until herd immunity is reached will cause millions of deaths and even more people living with the long-term effects of the virus. And as we say, we don't know what are some of the long-term effects yet, because what? It is still new. Another myth is that once I receive the COVID-19 vaccine, I no longer need to wear a mask. So the fact is this: mask wearing, hand washing, and physical distancing. And as we put it at the St. Mary Health Department, the COVID-19 SMS, sanitize mask, stay 6 feet apart, is still very much important and will remain necessary until a sufficient number of persons are immune. So the best protection is to continue to follow current guidelines. The public health experts will update their guidance as is necessary. COVID-19 vaccines are safe and effective and will save lives and will allow persons to remain to normal quickly. It will allow countries to open back their economies, and it will enable us to continue living life. It's not going to be the same. There will be a lot of new things, hence people using the term new normal. Don't hesitate, let's vaccinate. And I just wanted to share as well that we want our children to be vaccinated because even though they're at a lower risk of becoming severely ill with COVID-19 compared to adults. Children can still be infected with the virus and they can get very sick. And also, children with underlying medical condition are more at risk for severe illness from COVID-19 compared to children who are without underlying medical conditions. So vaccinating our children will help our children, will help ourselves, and will help the entire country get back to normal. Thank you so very much for listening. I told you all it would be very short. Now I am hoping, well, I am waiting for all the questions. So now the floor is open so you can ask your questions.
Okay, Mrs. Scott, thank you very much.
You're most welcome.
Parents, participants, we can use two different ways to do this question and answer segment. You can raise your hands using the raise hand feature, or you can type your questions in the chat, right? So we have some hands that are raised, and I am going to unmute the persons who have indicated that they have a question. So Shanika Bent, please unmute and go ahead.
Good night, everyone.
Yes,
Are
good
you
night.
hearing me?
Yes,
Good
we're hearing.
night.
Yes, we're hearing.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, go ahead,
Yes.
please.
Okay. My question is this. My daughter and I, we have some allergic reactions to like fish, peanuts, anything seafood, and anything nuts. Is the vaccine safe for her to take or safe for me to take? Because honestly, we are afraid. I am afraid of taking it because of my allergic problems to the fish and all of that, the nuts and stuff like that. So is it recommend us taking it or
All right. Personally, I've never heard anything about it, the vaccine affecting persons with allergic reactions to like fish or nuts.
Mhm.
But I would say to you though to speak to your doctor and your child's pediatrician before you actually take the vaccine, because
Okay.
you have taken your child for immunization, right? Have you ever did you see any allergic reaction as a result of any other
No,
vaccines?
she has not. Only
All right.
thing is she had a touch of fever, but
Shut
apart from that, no.
All right. So fever is normal. We know that by now. So if anything, I would recommend that you speak to your doctor first and then you can
Okay.
take the vaccine. But for the most part, we have never heard of anybody, coming to say that they have any reaction as a result of allergies that they have for any other food.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Kashima Latouche, go ahead, please. Latouche, please unmute and go ahead.
Good night, everyone. Is
Good
the
night.
if a student don't take the vaccine, can she come back to school? She or he can they come back to school?
I think I have to take that one from you, Mrs.
Yeah.
Scott. Mrs.
Yeah.
Scott. The by the mandate from the Ministry of Education, their policy. Right now we are open for labs and practicals for grades 11 to 13. We have that permission. Outside of that, 65% of the student population, as is stated on the news, we hear it every day, must be vaccinated for wide-scale reopening of school. And we have also received communication from the ministry that in the event of reopening, only students, as a matter of fact, you have to display your vaccination status before you will be allowed in school. So that is the position of the ministry right now. To state that once school reopens fully, only vaccinated individuals will be allowed to attend school. Do hope that answers the question. Grant, I think it is Filania. I do hope I have the name correct. Filania Grant.
Good night, sir. When will school reopen?
We know everyone is Mrs. Lawrence. Are you here? We know that a lot of persons, a lot of students, they are tired of this online thing. And I know teachers are tired of it too. And as principals, I know that we are under a lot of pressure because we have to be finding persons who are displaced, and there's a lot of things happening. We can't state when that is a ministry decision. They call it a cabinet decision. So as soon as we get that go ahead, we will send that out very quickly for everyone to start school as well, for school to reopen for face-to-face engagement. As we have already said, that the ministry has mandated 65%. So if Marymount has 1,000 kids, or if St. Mary Technical High School has 1,000 kids, we have to vaccinate 650 students first before we can get full approval for reopening. And they have also stated that if you don't take the vaccine, you have to continue online. And that is the position of the government. That's not my position. And even if you're a nice student, I can't screech you into the school if you're not vaccinated, as is outlined by the Ministry of Education. I do hope that answers the questions for all the persons who are asking about when will school reopen. We simply do not know. They have asked us to ensure that we undertake this vaccination drive where students will be given the Pfizer vaccine that they can take as is approved by FDA. And after that, they look at the numbers and they will make a decision on reopening. But as it is right now, that won't happen until the vaccination takes place. Dylan, unmute and go ahead, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Richards and everyone on this platform. I have one question and then the other one I need clarity. So based on what you are saying, sir, if a child, because of a medical reason, coming in with a letter from a doctor based on what the government is saying, then that child will not be able to participate in face-to-face class?
Unless we get directive otherwise, you are correct.
Okay, and the question that I have from the speaker who just spoke, did she say that there is no vaccine that contains fetal cells?
Yes, I did say that.
But according to the health department of the Los Angeles County.gov, it states that the Johnson & Johnson vaccine do require the use of fetal cell structures in order to produce and manufacture the vaccine.
Where did you get that information from?
If
I'm
you
not
go
sure how credible that site is because I only take information from PAHO, WHO, and CDC for international, and Ministry of Health and Wellness for local.
A .gov, G-O-V website is a government website in the US. That's the website, .gov and .edu. We were taught that those are credible sources.
Go ahead again with the website.
It's publichealth.lacounty.gov.
Publichealth.lacounty.
Yes, the LA is for Los Angeles, county.gov /media /coronavirus. Yes, it's a .gov website, which is a credible source. So it says that it says the mRNA COVID-19 vaccine produced by Pfizer and Moderna do not require the use of any fetal cell cultures in order to manufacture the vaccine. On the other hand, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine did require the use of fetal cell structures, specifically C6 per point C6 in order to produce and manufacture the vaccine. And I think that is one of the reasons why the churches per se are looking out against the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Though they say the Catholic Church and Southern Baptist Church and Religious Liberty Commission have both stated that receiving the COVID-19 vaccine that required fetal cell line for production or manufacturing is morally accepted. But however, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine did require fetal cells.
All right. Thank you for that information.
You're
It is
welcome,
quite
ma'am.
lengthy, so I will definitely go and read. But to the best of my knowledge, and as I say, I would have not gone out to read any other information which give me with the knowledge that you're just sharing. So
Yeah.
I'll definitely go and do some reading. But what I do know is that our vaccines do not contain any cell cultures. I don't know if you had gone on CDC as it relates to, because I don't know if you have a specific reason for that one, for the fetal cell culture. Have you gone on CDC and see what they say about it, or PAHO and see what they say about it?
I know that I have not gone on CDC website, but I know that at one point when it just came out, Johnson & Johnson came out, they personally came out and they stated that in order when they were doing the testing, when they were testing vaccines, they did use the fetal culture. So they that was a big to do. And then like persons were asking, so if you needed the fetal, at that time it was the lungs of the fetus that they were using, and persons came out and asked, so if you need the fetal lungs to do your testing, why should we believe you that it is not in the vaccine?
Well, so I guess you would have gone through the research. So let me ask a question. What exactly does the fetal cell culture do in terms of preventing the person from getting COVID-19 based on the reading that you had? Or that you did?
Honestly, I did not go that far in it. I must be honest with you.
Okay.
But I do know that it is there in the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, not the Pfizer, not the mRNA, not the Moderna, not the AstraZeneca, but it is in the Johnson & Johnson.
And it's just the one source that you got that information?
As I said, I have been following it for a while, and Johnson & Johnson did come out and admit that they used it in it while they were going through the testing period.
I think Miss Dillon that she may have gotten disconnected. I think she may have gotten disconnected. But thank you for your input. Right, let us see if Mrs. Scott can get back online, because she will have to take those technical questions, not me. But I see that we can take some questions from the chat. What will happen to children who doesn't reach the age to get the vaccine? How will it affect them? All I can say to you for those persons, majority, I know that you're referring to students who are in grade 7. Most of the grade 7 students might be turning 12 very, very soon. I guess the ministry will be guiding us as it relates to that aspect of things, and we will be able to, well, Mrs. Scott is coming back on, so she will be able to tell you what difference, if there's a difference that a couple months will make, because I know persons are asking that the child might be 11 now and 12 very shortly. That makes a big difference. So let me see if I find her. So persons are asking if that makes a big difference. Maybe Mrs. Scott can answer that. Mrs. Scott, you're back?
I am.
Great, thanks.
Sorry about that. Yes.
So persons are asking in the chat, what about persons who are 11 now, children who are 11 about to become 12 in the near future, if it is safe for them to take the vaccine at this time?
No, not at this time. I am sure though, as soon as they stop giving vaccine to persons who are 12 to 18 years. And we know the ongoing dialogue about a smaller dose being given to children 5 to 11. We haven't started that here as yet. So for now, it's just 18. It's just 12 to 18.
All right, so that is clear, and I'm sure that the Ministry of Education has that information, and they will provide principals with directive as it relates to those kids in grade 7. If it is a case that there's going to be a reopening, what will happen for those kids who are not yet 12-year-old? I do hope that would have answered that question. All right, we are seeing some other hands, and we have to take a limit. Parents, we know a lot of questions are being advanced. We are going to try to take, so we're asking you to keep your question to the point and precise, so we can get as many questions as possible in from everyone. Ashanti Bolton, unmute, go ahead, please.
Good night, teacher and principal. Yeah, I would ask a question. If the child should have asthma, if she can still take the vaccine.
All right. Yes, children, as a matter of fact, everybody that has an underlying illness should take the vaccine. Why? Because your immune system is already burdened or weakened with the underlying condition that you would have had. So it is important for you to take the vaccine because the vaccine will help to boost your immune system. So give your body that energy that it would need to develop those fighter cells so that you can fight against COVID-19. So yes, children and adults with underlying illness, whether diabetes, hypertension, prostate cancer, breast cancer, sickle cell, asthma, any underlying issue, it is important for you to take the vaccine.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Tashina Ellis, please unmute and go ahead. Ellis, we're waiting. Ellis. All right, while Tashina Ellis make up the question or put your thoughts together, let us move to Walker.
Yes, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening. Yes. What if it's only say 50% of the students are vaccinated? And no, I'm hearing that there's no Pfizer on the island. Is the government doing anything to get the vaccine on the island, just in case, more persons would like to take it, students?
All right. Yes. Can you mute your mic now, please? Thank you. Your background is loud. Yes, we do have Pfizer presently for our children. So in short order, you may be getting a letter or a call from your school to say when they will be having a vaccination session at the school specifically for children. So that vaccination session, only the children will be vaccinated, and then of course the adults will have to go to a general vaccination site to be vaccinated. But yes, we do have for our children now.
We have moved to Deline. I'm hoping I pronounced the person's name correctly. Deline, please unmute and go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. I have two questions, and one of them I think was addressed just now. I was about to ask whether there would be a vaccination blitz at the school for those persons who are interested in getting their children vaccinated. And the other question really is about whether or not those students who are vaccinated, does anyone know how long the vaccination, how long or how viable, or for how long the vaccine is viable?
All right, thank you. So as we know, everything is new. So we're still not sure how long, because I think that's the question I'm asking, how long the vaccine will last per se in terms of protecting the person. We're still not sure, but we are hoping that it will long as it will last, for eternity. Like those antibodies that will be developed in the body, we're hoping that those antibodies will stay there forever. And should in case there's anything else, the body would have been protected and would be able to fight off anything that is similar to the COVID-19 virus. Did I answer your question okay, Deline? If that is how your name is really pronounced?
You can type the response in the chat because I believe that she's muted. Isham or Isham, I'm not sure. Please unmute and go ahead. We have raised our hands, so we have to ensure that we are ready with our questions. Isham, going once, twice. All right, that person. Yes, go ahead, please.
Good night.
Yes, good night. Go ahead, please.
Honestly, I don't even know where to begin, but I have to start somewhere. I heard a lady said that if a child have an underlying illness, they can still take the vaccine. I have had 2 family members that is fully vaccinated in January and one drop out, and one of them had underlying illness. So, and a matter of fact, my daughter, my son, and I, 3 of us have underlying illness, and we know 200% sure that this thing is okay to take. I have 1,010,000 reasons not to take this vaccine. Everybody else can do what they want, but that my reasons, religious, health-wise, 1,010,000. First of all, they call it vaccine, but it's genocide.
All right, Miss Isham.
I am really not in.
All right. Let me just speak to her, please. Miss Isham, if that is how it is pronounced, I am really, really sorry for your loss. But I am just hoping that at some point you can understand then the importance of what we are trying to get here. If you already have an underlying illness, it is not to say that the vaccine is going to stop you from dying. As I say, underlying illness means that your immune system is harder at work. There is more stress going on in the body, and it's not everybody will be able to fight against it because your body is so weak. And so that's why we are stressing
that. How many of us know what everybody can fight against?
But that is the thing, Miss Isham, we really don't know. And as the first persons had said, all of this is new to us, and what is new to us have been new to other persons then with the evolution of all the other vaccines, because it did kill people too. Whole heap of them did have underlying illnesses too, and somebody had to come up and say, all right, then we need to find something that will work. Because the reality is this: the more we evolve as a people, as a world, as a nation, the more we start doing other things that is affecting our body, and we don't even know. Say, hey, when time you light the big old fire there, so it affect people. If somebody there next to you with asthma is a possibility, say just lighting the fire, and the fire a burn for 1 minute can kill somebody because the immune system is already weakened. So the importance now is for you to get something that can help the immune system so that your body can fight. It's like picture yourself going out there a war with a woman, and you beat her and you do this and you do that. That is the same thing you have to look on in terms of inside the body. The body has to be working extra now because of something else that is coming on the body. So If it is that the person had diabetes and they normally have sores and so on, you know that it's a possibility that if COVID-19 should come and the person go out, it's going to be even worse, because what happened, the body is too weak, the body is not able to fight. So that's why we're saying persons get vaccinated so that your body, you can give your body a fighting chance. It stops persons from going to the hospital, but it doesn't necessarily stop the person from getting the virus. So you need to get that extra thrust. Like a supplement, the vaccine helps to boost you up when your immune system is so weak. I'm really sorry for your loss, though.
Well said, Mrs. Scott. And if I may interject a little bit, we do apologize for your loss. We sincerely hope that the minors in in the household, they are getting the necessary support. If it is from St. Mary Technical High School, do we our counselors are here. If it is from Marymount High School, I'm positive that the counselors can reach out to provide that support, because losses are things that takes a psychological toll on individuals, especially the smaller ones. And we are big on what we refer to as psychosocial support. But please understand that we are not throwing down anything down anyone's throat. It is a freedom of choice. And the reality of it is that as a school, we have been mandated, we have bosses, and we have been mandated to advance an initiative. There's an option for persons who don't take the vaccine to remain online, while those who want to reach that number that the ministry would have given us for them to be able to enter the physical space. So in everything that we do, we have options. So you're not choosing to take the vaccine, you have an option where the child will be catered for online. And for the ones who decide that they're going to take the vaccine, the mandate will come when they reach that level for us to return to the physical space. So I just want to make that very clear. We are not saying to you, take vaccine or else. We're saying to you that these are the options that are available. You choose based on your situation. You choose what you want based on your circumstance. Right? So basically, that's what I have to say right there. We're going to take 5 more questions, and then we'll proceed into wrapping up, because we're past 7 o'clock, and we have been having a very productive meeting in my opinion. So Dejane Panton, please unmute and go ahead, please. Participants, once we raise our hands, we have to be ready when our names are called in us, or else I'm going to pass over you. It's really getting late. I know a lot of persons have to get ready for work tomorrow. Dejane Panton, last call. All right. Adriana Allen, please unmute and go ahead.
Yes, good evening, everyone. My daughter is now 14. She has no known underlying problems. Which of the vaccine you think would be best for her?
All right, good evening. Thank you for your question. The only vaccine that is available for her is the Pfizer vaccine. So depending on the school, as I said before, you may be getting a call to say when we will be having a vaccination session at the school so she can be vaccinated. And even if she doesn't have an underlying illness, it is still important for her to take the vaccine. All right.
Okay, I believe that Mr. Allen will be satisfied there. I see Shanika Bent hand is up again, and Tashina Ellis. I'm going to skip those 2 hands, and I'm going to go to Sansia Smart, because those persons have already advanced the question. Sansia Smart, please unmute and go ahead, please.
Good evening, everyone. Miss Scott, this is Miss Joan from Martin. When my child should take the vaccine, if in case my granddaughter took the vaccine, she go and took the vaccine, right? And she should happen to become ill Whom do I hold accountability for that?
All right. So if anything should happen to the child, so Mr. Campbell is going to tell you the vaccination process after the 5 persons have asked their question, but a part of it is observation. And in observation, we watch to see if there's any adverse effect, side effect, or effect from the vaccine. If there is none, of course, it is important for you to watch your child when you go home. You watch your child. If there is anything at all happening to the child, you present your case to the hospital. When you go to the hospital, you lead by saying, I took the Pfizer vaccine, or my child took the Pfizer vaccine on such and such a date, and we have been having these signs and symptoms, whatever, and you can take it from there.
Yeah, but so who do I? That's what I'm saying. Who do I hold accountability for that? What happened?
Well, if I go out there and I can't let me down, we just have to hold myself accountable. If she go out there and she get the virus and something happens to her and something happens to somebody else in your household, you just have to hold yourself accountable. We have to hold ourselves accountable for everything. Just like sanitize, mask, stay 6 feet apart. You have to keep yourself safe. And by doing so, you have to follow the protocols. And if you so desire, take the vaccine as a way to keep yourself protected as well as your children. So just you alone, you have to hold yourself accountable for whatever happens to her. You can't hold me accountable. You can't hold the nurse who give you the injection accountable, because at the end of the day, the responsibility is all ours.
Okay, I'll say
All right.
I'll do it for me.
Okay,
right. Miss.
Yeah.
All right, Miss. Thank you for that. Dunkley, please unmute and go ahead. And we're taking Stas, Richards, and Brian, and that will be it. Go ahead, Dunkley. You're unmuted. Dunkley?
Hello.
Yes, we have been waiting
Sorry,
on you. Go ahead, please.
Good night. I want to find out how is it online class and face to face is going to work at the same time?
We're doing it now.
You're doing face and online now?
Right now, we have the grade 11s in for labs and practicals. They have the same teachers who teaches online. You have a thing called synchronous and asynchronous learning, mommy. And plus the ministry has different modalities. We call them different modalities, blended modalities. So we have the asynchronous modality where the work is really posted in the Google Classroom and the students engage in what we refer to as self-paced learning. There are synchronous classes where the teacher will be there live teaching. There are YouTube channels where these children can go online and do classes. We have the ministry has televised programs where we do provide the schedule from time to time where the lessons are taught on the television. So all of those modalities will be utilized, and we have been utilizing them for a period of time now.
Okay.
So that is how it will work.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for your question.
Okay, then you're welcome.
All right. So Richards, please unmute and go ahead.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
All right. If you choose not to take the vaccine and not allow your child to take it, and your child is in like grade 10 or grade 11, and she's doing practical, how is that going to work out?
Sorry, could you repeat the question? I missed a part of it. I'm sorry.
All right. So you choose not to take the vaccine, right? And you choose to continue online. But your child is doing like home economics or lab, and you have stated that 65% of the school has to be vaccinated, but your child you are choosing not to let your child take it. How would that child get her work done?
We have been faced with that scenario. We right now, as I said to you, the students in grade 11 to 13, the government has given us permission to take them in. For how long, we do not know. Right now, it is not a condition that they must be vaccinated for this activity, because school, there is not a wide scale reopening of school. So let me make that very clear. What is happening in the school is not teaching and learning. Students are taken in control groups, because the labs and practicals that you're speaking of, these are very, very small groups. So for example, a class really is not more than 15 students in a space at more than 15 students at any one time. So we are trying at this time to get those things out of the way, because we have permission for that. You're thinking about no grade 7, grade 8, grade 9, grade 8 students. The class size is over 40, right? We cannot have those set of students within that space, 40 students within the physical space as it is now, following social distancing. It just will not work in a school system. I do hope I'm answering the question. But for right now, if your child is in grade 11 to 13, if the school has complied with all of the regulation in terms of the Ministry of Health protocols, the school will get approval to reopen for labs and practicals, not for no form of teaching and learning that is taking place. So I just want to make that clear. But for now, I know that we open on Monday for face-to-face to complete labs and practicals. We don't know when the ministry is going to say, cut that out. They need to get vaccinated to get back into school. So I just want to put that there. Fully, that is, to go back fully in school. So, Ms. Richards, I don't know if I answered your question. All right, so we had initially stated that we would have stopped there. I'm seeing 2 more hands. You have a minute, Ms. Brian. Please go ahead, unmute and go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, we're hearing you.
Hi.
Good night.
Good night.
If you're saying if the child don't take the vaccine, they can't go back to school, period? Or is it just until the Ministry of Education say what else?
Yes, that you're correct. You have answered your question.
So
we operate based on what the Ministry of Education tell what they dictate to us.
So you said if you get 65% of the school vaccinated, then children that are not vaccinated can come back, right?
No,
was that it?
No. They go on, they remain online. That's the directive that we got.
Even if you get 65% vaccinated?
If the students who are vaccinated can come in.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Tamara, last question.
Yeah, good night, sir. I'm just asking my student, my daughter is in grade 11, so I want to know like how she's not been vaccinated. Is she the CXC part? If she have to do the vaccine to do the CXC?
Well, I don't know if you want to take that question, Ms. Scott. In terms of the student being vaccinated, but I'm not going to answer that part of it. I'm going to say right now, for labs and practicals, we are not operating regular classes. It's for labs and practicals because these are part of the CXC exam. So they have to do those to be able to pass the exam. So we have gotten the permission for that. Once that is out the way, we don't know what the government or the Ministry of Education will dictate. But for now, it is not a requirement for them to be vaccinated to come and do labs and practicals.
All right. For the other part, I am not sure. I guess that would be something from Ministry of Education as well, because she was asking about CXC, right? It was if the child is not vaccinated, if they're not able to, if they won't be able to sit CXC. I am not sure of that either. But I realize that most of the questions, Mr. Richards, they're geared towards school and whether the child is vaccinated or not. Let me just say that what we are looking for is not just children alone, but nationally, we are looking for a percentage of the population to be vaccinated before we can, let our guards down, then per se. We have to know that enough persons nationally have the antibodies living in their bodies so that just in case there is a little flare up somewhere, at least it won't be that bad and persons would be able to, fight off the virus for themselves because they would have already have the antibodies. So in time to come, well, now is the time for us to get vaccinated, especially us as parents to get vaccinated, so that our country or schooling, everything can go back to, well, not go back to, but can go on with life. Because we're not sure what it's going to be like, but we have to get vaccinated first before we can say, all right, no mask, or all right, we can have two classrooms into one, because we know that that's the harsh reality that some of our schools faces. They are overcrowded, and as a result of that, really and truly, it makes no sense to open up back the school to full function, and then we'll just have to close it again because persons aren't vaccinated, they don't have the antibodies, they can't fight against the virus, everybody's getting sick, everybody's getting hospitalized, and the whole country is going to go down in shambles. So we are promoting vaccination as a way for us to get back to what we used to in terms of our school life. So Mr. Raquel Campbell, he is the Health Promotion and Education Officer in charge of communicable disease. Therefore, he's the one that manages the vaccination sites right across the parish. So he's just going to tell you what the vaccination process is so that persons will know what to do. All right, Mr. Campbell, are you on? Yes.
Yes, he's here. He can go ahead and unmute Mr. Campbell.
Good evening, everyone. Yes, I'm here. I'm here, Ms. Scott.
Okay. So I was saying just to give them the process for getting vaccinated.
Okay. So the process is quite easy, I think. You just need your TRN, your birth certificate, of course, for students, and a parent or a guardian, because we need to get the permission of such persons. As it relates to the shot itself for the jab, it comes in 2 doses for students. So they would receive their first dose, and then 3 weeks after they would receive the next shot. After receiving a dose, they may or may not feel unwell. So they might have a little fever, the headache, joint pain, chills, nausea. The area where they receive the jab, it might itch, it might hurt, it might swell a little. It's normal. So persons don't need to overreact and, and say, boy, Lord God, me dead and all of that. It's normal, right? And it is usually mild and usually lasts 2 to 3 days and then go away. I don't think I need to say this for students, but I will, however. So in those 2 to 3 days, We don't want any drinking of any alcohol and we don't want any smoking, right? Because they may feel unwell and we don't want that to happen. Right? So no drinking of any alcohol, no smoking. So they would need to increase the intake of water, of course, because sir, water is good for the body. So increase the intake of water, drink more water, drink more juice, and they rest as much as they can. I know that persons are scared of the needle, why I think that persons are unwilling to go out and take the job. Maybe if it was a pill or, they will be more able to do it, and they're scared of the needles and such. So they are staying away. But the gauge of the needle is really, really small. It's the smallest gauge needles they can find. So I won't say that they won't feel anything or we won't feel anything, but it won't be all that painful. You just barely feel a pinch and then it will be over with, after which they will have an period of waiting for at least fif- at least 15 minutes to be observed by a doc to see if they would have any allergic reaction to the job. After which their cards, which will have all their personal information on it, their name, their date of birth, TRN if they have one, and their address, phone number, will be signed by the nurse and stamped. After receiving dose number 2, though, it takes now 14 days for the body now to create the antibodies needed to protect them against the virus. So in the case that they should catch COVID, and we don't want anyone to catch COVID, but in the case that they should catch COVID, the illness would be, I should say, really mild, right? Because of course the antibodies would be working now to help to fight off COVID-19, right? So maybe they will still have the fever and they might lose their smell and their taste, but hopefully they will be able to stay out of the hospital, which is what we really, really want. So it's not a long process. It is quite easy. As I said, the part I think persons are really scared of is really the needle, because they say that the needle look long and stuff well like that. But I tell people all the time is because they have the big screen TV at home and why the needle looks so long on the TV, right? The needle is not that long, right? It is really, really small. So it is safe. We are not the first to start it. It is been happening all around the world. I think that we are way behind. So we need to, do our part, play our part in order to get back to some form of normalcy, I think. All right? Okay, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
very
Mr.
much.
Campbell.
Yes, definitely.
And thank you, Mr. Richards, for
Excellent.
having
Thank
us.
you very much. I don't want to leave anybody unsatisfied. All right. Let me make my final point before I bring in. Well, I see Miss Llewellyn put her hand back up. Miss Llewellyn, it seems like you have a burning question. Let us hear it real quickly. Go ahead, please unmute and go ahead.
Yes, sir. Good night, everybody. I just want to know, for the vaccination on the 15th of Monday coming, is it just for St. Mary Technical High student, or any student who wishes to be vaccinated can be there that day?
All right, very good question. We are not averse to having persons there on the day that are not a part of our school. But what we're undergoing really is what we refer to as a pre-registration. So I would have sent out from in my parent groups, I would have
Yes,
designed
sir.
we would have
Yes.
designed a Google form
Mm-hmm.
that we would have sent out in the parent group for the parents to pre-register the child, so that the Ministry of Health, having confirmed Monday the 15th, So for St. Mary Technical is Monday, November the 15th. For the parents here from our school, please go into the PTA WhatsApp group. There is a link there to a form. I see Mrs. Lawrence is reminding me that, and for Marymount is November 22, which is 1 week later. So there's a form in our parent WhatsApp group. Please go in it and fill out the form. We will get the information. It gives the Ministry of Health. We will provide that to them. It gives them an indication of the number of persons that they are to expect on the day. So we would really want for persons to be able to pre-register and give us adequate information. So on the day, the process can be very, very, very smooth. I'm going to put the link. I'm going to put the link again in the chat here. So anybody who in the chat can fill it out so that they can get pre-registered. So on the day, we can operate in a very smooth manner. So Monday the 15th is the day for St. Mary Technical. See, I put it there. And November 22 is the day for Marymount. So please pre-register. I know Mrs. Lawrence will provide that information for you to pre-register to go to Marymount to do it. So if you can pre-register with us, fill out the form and you will be accommodated. So that is it from us here. We are not, well, Mrs. Lawrence, you can go ahead. You are a co-host.
Sir?
Yes, ma'am.
So you're saying that if for instance, I got the form, but I didn't fill it out yet because I had to put the birth certificate information. Well, I'm home now, so after the meeting, I'll fill it out. So you're saying that if a child hasn't registered or is not a student of St. Mary Technical High School, but you don't suggest that the child should be there for the 15 days.
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
No, because you're saying that you sent a form. I know that the form is there, but I was thinking because
what we're saying is the child, it's best if they pre-register. But if on the day you come with your birth certificate, you have to take the birth certificate and the child, and the guardian has to be there to give the permission. The child can be accommodated.
Okay. Oh, that's all I wanted to know.
But it is best for them to pre-register. So we can. So if they did not get a chance to register on the day, Mr. Campbell, I am hoping that won't pose a challenge for you and your team.
We would want to know that they are pre-registered because we don't want to turn up and we don't have enough doses to give everyone. So, but I know that we will be going to all the schools. So if your child goes to a different school, we will be at that school as well.
Okay.
Yeah, man, we will be going to all the schools. I think we will also be going to Another Bay I on Friday.
And the child I was thinking of, that child is going to Oberlin. So I was thinking of, and he's my cousin. So yes,
okay.
yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
man,
so that's why I was wondering if I could just take him along with me Monday. But that's fine.
Oh,
that's fine.
I understand. Sure, you could. I think you could. It wouldn't be an
Okay,
issue.
so what time will you begin? About 8?
We will be starting at 9 or 10, I think, Mr. Richards.
9 or 10.
Well, no, this is all right. 9 or Mr. Campbell, please confirm the time with me so I can send it out to the parents to tell them what time they need to start coming in. Because remember, we have to look at the fact that we are operating using a protocol, so we do not necessarily have a space for persons for a large crowd to wait while
yes, exactly.
Yes, so we have to really tell them the hours
time,
that we're beginning and when we're ending. So we will get that out to you by tomorrow.
Okay, sir. Because probably I would have to go to work. So I would have to ask somebody to accompany my son. So I would have to be able to give them that information.
Well noted. We will provide.
Okay. Well, I'm going to fill out the registration form after the meeting is finished here. Thank you very much, sir. That's it.
Okay, great. Some persons are saying
Mr.
that they're
Richards.
not. 1 second,
Mr. Richards,
Go ahead, Mrs. Lawrence.
Thank you. Just to say to our parents and guardians, those are from Marymount High, that we will send our form out tomorrow. We still have a little time, so we will send our form to you tomorrow in our WhatsApp groups as usual. So you will be able to pre-register. And our date is the 22nd of November. Thank you, sir.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much. We have exhausted all the questions, Miss Brown, because we're really strapped for time now. All right. Can we take one final break? Well, Miss, so we'll bring in. So thank you, everyone. We'll bring in now the VP from Marymount, Mrs. Boyd, to wrap up for us.
Good evening, everyone. Students and parents, I'm sure I speak on your behalf when I say to Mr. Richards, Mrs. Lawrence, to our guest presenter, to Mr. Campbell, to Pastor Hemmings, and of course to all of you who participated, that this was a very informative and highly productive meeting. The question I heard one student ask is perhaps one of the most popular questions on the lips of every student. When is school going to open? Now, this session will, of course, inform, or your participation rather after this session will inform the government, will inform the school principals and all stakeholders as to whether or not we will open soon. Now, there's so much information that has been passed on via so many challenges about this vaccination. And once again, we have been provided with even more details. And I must say, Mrs. Scott, you went through the myths, you went through the facts, and you dealt with the questions quite well. I am hoping that all the questions, all the misconceptions that persons had were answered. And I'm sure that there are those who will still have their doubts and may still not want to take it for their personal and maybe valid reasons. But it's your choice. But it is our responsibility as educators, as medical personnel, to ensure that the information is passed on so that persons know what to do so we can protect our nation. And so once again, I want to say thank you. Mr. Campbell, thank you so much for walking us through the process and perhaps for alleviating some of the fears that some of our children would have. I saw where a parent asked that her child is afraid of the needle. So will there be any pill or anything like that to help that child? I don't think so, and I'm sure Ms. Scott will agree with me, but based on what Mr. Campbell says, I'm sure that whatever fears a child has or a parent has will be alleviated somewhat. All right, and so Mr. Richards, I really appreciate the spirit of collaboration and the fact that you see us at Marymount as your sister school. I really, really appreciate that. And I trust that there may be other ventures that we can work on together. And this is such a good example of partnership. And I'm trusting that Marymount students will recognize that what they have at Marymount is no different from what is at St. Mary Technical. We're all in this thing together, right? 200 and plus, we really appreciate your turnout, and it shows how much you are interested in your children. And so we want to say thanks again. Good night. Over to you, Mr. Richards.
Well said, excellent. And let me add my gratitude and my thanks to especially the ministry personnel, Mrs. Scott and Mr. Campbell. I know I reached out to you late yesterday and you did not tell us no, and we are grateful. We are way past working hours. That is how committed we are to the business of serving our country, of nation building. And I do want to say thank you, everyone. Thank you, my colleagues at St. Mary Technical High School, for being here. My colleagues from Marymount High School, and most of all, my parents, our parents and our students for being here. And it's a choice, right? So you make your choice. You have options, and we do hope that at the end of the day, we are able to reintegrate you back into the physical environment of what we know and want to be school in its operation. Thank you very much, everyone. And I wish you all a wonderful, wonderful night. Mrs. Lawrence, I allow you to speak before me and I give you the final word, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Once again, we just want to say thanks to everyone. Thanks, thanks, thanks. And thank you, St. Mary Tech. This is indeed the start of something bigger, something better for our schools in St. Mary. Parents, you have heard us. You have heard from those who know what is happening, and we just ask that you make the right choice so that we can all face this together and have our students back at school. Blessings, everybody.
Okay, great. So let me say good night again to everyone. I'm going to end the meeting at this time.